This one's called the Ice Barn. Uh, Chappaquiddick Ferry looks the same as in 1957 when I was there. The local custom was to paint the floor worn out from the previous summer's sandy feet, gray, and then go around with a can and make drips. Some say this is where Jackson Pollock got his idea. Uh, Kind of usual problem. This is the Intertown Ferry, which everybody knows from Jaws. We took the ferry to Eggertown, where there was still a blacksmith with spreading oak tree. On Chappaquiddick, across the road, lived two sisters who made sure you knew they were Indian princesses, which they were, who had a farm which they let us poke around on. One of the barns had no windows, and when I opened the door, it was completely dark inside. And in the light from the door, I saw ice stacked like hay bales with hay around and between the blocks. The door was 2 feet thick and stuffed with hay, as were the walls. It seemed a small miracle that it was still here from last January. As the summer people replaced their refrigerators and stoves, they gave them to the two old ladies whose house now looked like a museum of appliances. They used the wooden stove and the ice box and made one or two of the and maybe one or two of the freezers. I don't know. Just the two of them in the summer. There was a guy and his helper for the ice. I adored my friend's father, who was our next door neighbor in Washington. A little awkward since I didn't get along with my father. Uncle Sherman had us do things like reshingle the house and the next year paint it. Big fun if you were 10 and 11. One day he took us down across a little bridge and had us wreck a small shack. Just dropped us off and came back later. No worries about be careful, don't do this, don't do that. I remember hearing comments about how the Kennedys drove too fast. I think there was a bad accident and someone hit their head on the door frame and died. This was in 1957 and 58, so I barely knew who they were, except one of them was a state representative, John. Years later, I realized that that little shack and bridge was the site of Ted Kennedy's disaster, where he drove into the water and his assistant, Mary Jo Kopechne, drowned. I got the first case of Rocky Mountain spotted fever on the East Coast. It's transmitted by ticks that have been on an infected rabbit. So on day one, I felt like I was coming down with something, followed by 3 days of lying in bed reading comics, and then thinking it was over and feeling fine. And after a day or two, feeling fine after a day or two, and on the fourth day, starting all over. I never wanted to see another comic in my life, and I haven't to this day. The fevers wound down after nearly 2 months and were gone for good. I kept wondering where the idealized lithe athletic bodies came from when I started working in clay, thinking that I'd become a follower of Rodin. About 15 years in, it hit me. It was those comic book heroes shaking off 40 years of being ostracized. And now we'll phone cooperates, show you some pictures of what I mean. Does that register? Yeah. Uh, yeah. Excuse me. All right. I want to make a short one.